Okay. Again, thank you everyone for attending this artist lecture. Hi, Rich. Hi. Hi, Nick. Hi. So we have two amazing guest artist lecturers today, and I'll introduce them in a moment. However, I do want to highlight that both of these artists, along with a couple artists from our art department and myself, are going to be in the Resonance show, which is a national show at the A.R. Mitchell Museum, inspired by A.R. Mitchell's archive. And then artists respond to his archive photographs. And that will be showing this Friday, tomorrow. Opening is from 5 to 8. Please come and celebrate with us. That's going to be open till December 26th, I believe. It's a very long show, but some really good stuff in there. And of course, there's some other stuff going on in town that we will introduce afterwards. But again, thank you so much for coming. Can you guys help me introduce our two artists? We have Maeve Eichelberger, and then we also have Amanda Mcleod. Hey, Amanda, would you like to come up? Amanda is going to get this and this, and you would like to, okay, you're good.
Great. Like I said, my name is Amanda Mcleod. It's nice to meet you all. Let's see. Go ahead and move the next one here. So a little bit about myself, you guys. I started off a very creative family. My mom is an artist, even though she didn't go into the art career. She did go into the arts, and that really is still what I do now. And I went off to get my Bachelor of Fine Arts in Illustration, and then I went on to get my Master's in Business Administration. Just thought it was a good idea to just continue my education one right after the other. And later on, I just held various different jobs. I've had jobs as part of an associate designer with Florist Company. I've had jobs at Joann's, just a variety, like at Amazon, now Walmart. I was also into marketing. I did marketing for a merchandise studio that did video game companies, like their little statues, their merchandise, their TV, t-shirts. So you can see it. I moved around a lot. There really isn't, I would say, clear path for a creative, but throughout those various different jobs that I did have, I continued my art. I never stopped making the art. And through that, I've had I was into comic books, and then I got into more of the fine art, more traditional concepts like florals, still lifes. I've done landscapes, skyscapes, and go ahead, slide here. So let's see here. So by painting themes and concepts, like I said, I've done a variety of different concepts. I don't have one favorite subject really. I mean, I've done a lot of clouds. From living out here in Colorado, I think a lot of you guys have seen we've got some amazing sunsets and sunrises. And that's really just inspired me. I see something that's colorful, that's bright and pretty. And I'm like, I want to try and represent that on a piece of paper. I want to try and capture that and then start showing other people what I'm seeing. So you'll see that I've done a lot of different clouds. I've done some columbines. You'll see I've got Pikes Peak in there in front of Garden of the Gods. And it's, like I said, I don't really have one thing. I'll go ahead and do the next one. So I'll go into a little bit about my process and how I start something. As I said before, I start seeing something I think is beautiful. I see how the light falls across an object or how it reflects back at you. And I want to try and capture that. I start looking at the various different types of color inside an object. And a lot of times I'll end up taking pictures. I'll use multiple different pictures and I start molding those together. I'll do some sketches first, some small thumbnails. And then I start working into like some bigger thumbnails, like some value studies. And then I'll go on to a larger piece. I'll get a little bit more into about each individual piece because I do work in two different types of mediums here. Go ahead. And I work in oil paints and I'll work in soft pastels. They both have their pros and cons to them. With oil paints, what's nice is that you can let them dry after a while, and then I can come back into them and get a little bit more detail with them. Whereas with soft pastels, I always like to treat them as if they are always wet on wet. I can always come back to them, rework them, and just get more detail into it, or I can leave it like for months on end. That's what's nice about it. And then with oil paints too, so here, that one's an oil painting, and then my bottom two ones are soft pastels here. And they've both influenced each other. I'll pick up some details, some techniques from oil painting, and then I'll bring it over to my soft pastels, or something that's from the soft pastels. I've learned different types of blending techniques on it, and then I'll bring that over to my oil paintings. And it's really nice being able to be versed in two different types of mediums, because I can go ahead and say, okay, I'm bored with this one now. I feel a little bit frustrated with this medium, and I can stop using it for a while, and then I can go and pick up my other medium and work with that for a bit. All right, so going a little bit deeper into my soft pastels, a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of different types of soft pastels. Some people realize like it's either an oil pastel or it's a soft pastel. While that's true, when you get into soft pastels, you have varying different textures, varying different hardness to softness of it. Some of the hardest pastels, of course, are the pastel pencils, and that's where they've gone and added more clay to the pigment to make it harder. And with a more softer pastel, like a specific brand like Mcleod, it just crumbles in your hand. And that's where they've got more pigment and a little bit, like maybe a little bit of binder to it. Now, those can play into how you approach your pastels and the type of surface you work on. So sometimes I'll start out with some pretty hard pastels and just get some color onto my surface, where it's just, look at it. It's just getting color onto my surface. And sometimes I can get some pretty good detail with those hard pastels. But I like to save my soft pastels because they'll crumble in your hands. But for my finishing marks, that's where I can get some pretty bright highlights on there, and you get that nice buildup of that pigment of a pastel onto your paper. Now, speaking about surface to work on, I typically work on 400 grit sanded paper. I know it's not, if you don't work in pastels, a lot of people don't realize you can work on sanded paper. It holds the pastel really nice, and I can get up to like 20 to 40 plus layers of pastel on there. It just depends on your touch of your pastel. So how hard you press that pastel against your paper determines how much pastel you're going to leave, how much of that tooth of that paper you're going to fill up. Some other surfaces that you can work on, there's Cansenia tins, just your traditional cotton papers, wood fiber papers. Some more unusual papers that I have seen is the velour papers. It's like working on velvet. I've done that a little bit. Not necessarily my favorite. Still need to work with it. I want to try it out some more, but it's very soft. And people who like to do portrait work, who like to do pet portraits or working with feathers or hair, fur, that's a really nice paper to master because it gets those soft edges really well. And then, I'm not done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good. So talk a little bit about my layering techniques, you guys. What I like to do with the majority of my pastels, I think all of these actually, I started with an ink wash underneath. I'll use bright colored inks and just get my paper toned first. This is the other reason why I like to use the sanded paper. It's sealed and it's very nice and receptive to taking on inks and wet media without buckling too much. And then I'll start layering my pastels on top of it. And it's just a slow going process of lay down color, and then you'll start laying down another color, because what I like to do with my pastels is I will use some of the colors underneath. It's broken color is what it's called. And so I'll have one color, like a darker color underneath. And then I'll start mixing sometimes some lighter colors or colors of similar value, but it's like a deep red. Then I'll have a dark blue underneath. And they start how do I put it? I'm trying to think of the word to describe when you've got different colors against each other, but when you're stepping back, it's one shade of color. But as you step forward and you look really close onto it, you'll see the various different colors that were used to make this one shape, this one value.
I think it's called optical mixing.
I learned it, but I can't remember.
Oh, I
names.
hear you. I hear you.
You can go on.
Okay.
So that was my soft pastels. With my oil paints, I don't quite use them like traditional. I don't glaze too often. I don't typically use like a gray undertone painting. How I learned oil paints, which really worked for me, was a teacher I had in landscape painting. And he says, use acrylic like it's acrylics. Lay down a color and move on. Lay down another color and move on. You can come back and adjust it later. That really helped because for a while, oil paints, I hated them. When I use them first, I'm like, they're not drying. I'm mixing, I'm turning into mud now. And it was not pleasant. So I'll typically use an alla prima method and try and paint all at once. I can't always finish it. I'll always come back to it though, like once it's dry, or sometimes like if I can make my layers wet enough with the oil, then I'll come back to it. Some of the brushes that I use, I don't use too soft of brushes. When I do oil paints, I like a harder brush, more bristle tone. I like the mark making of it. I like the different textures of it. I find it easier if I can make a hard mark or a hard texture, and then if I need to soften it up, I can come back and do that. Because going on to my color palette that I typically use, I use a very vibrant color palette. I don't use a lot of dull colors. I'll use titanium white, cadmium yellow light, cadmium medium, alizarin crimson, red cadmium. No, that's like cadmium red light is what it is. I'll use quinacridone magenta, dioxide purple. I've got French ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, which I don't know if anybody has ever used phthalo blue before. Yeah, it's a very potent color, isn't it? I love it. And then I'll use viridian green and sap green. So it's a very vibrant palette I like to use. And from those colors, I can mix down to my grays, to my more duller colors by intermixing between cadmium red light, French ultramarine blue. I can mix a little bit of cadmium medium into it and just get some duller tones to it. That way I find it easier because it's harder to get to a more vibrant color if you don't start with a vibrant color. And then some brush marks that I like to make. I'm slowly building up. I've got some different brush marks in here. Some that look a little bit more choppy than what I've got, but I'm starting to really like playing around with very impressionistic brush marks, like Monet, looking at J.C. Leyendecker, Norman Rockwell. Even though he does these gorgeous portraits and from far, you'll see that it looks like a person, but when you're up on it, you can see all these gorgeous brush marks. So that's something I've been experimenting with in how I lay down my paint to suggest that form. That's pretty much it, you guys. This is where you guys can find me if you want to take a screenshot of that or not. If you want to see more of my artwork, follow me along with the journey that I'm going through here. I've got a website, Facebook, Instagram, and some YouTube videos.
Nice.
Can we ask questions?
Yeah, I have questions too.
Absolutely. So what we were planning on doing is letting both of them present, and then we are going to go in front. I have some questions, but if it's just coming from the audience, that would be even better. Give me 1 second. I'm going to switch.
If you want, like, people want to ask questions.
Do you want to
it's
do it now?
fresh, like,
Please, let's do
it
it.
might help.
Go for it. Come back on up. If you guys have any
Yeah,
questions,
exactly.
please.
I have a question. Do you always, in every piece that you do, use the same palette? Pretty much?
Yeah,
Color palette?
pretty much.
That's cool.
I just find it's easier because you're so familiar with that palette. Now, I may not use every single color on my palette. I may gravitate towards more using like, I'll exclude cadmium lemon light from something, and just use my medium light. But for my pastels, typically, actually, I end up pulling those pastels, and I won't go and get other pastels.
Yeah.
I'll stick with that specific palette.
Yeah.
So, as a pastel artist myself, I wondered if you have ever tried pan pastels instead of doing like the ink.
I've not tried those.
You should, because I think that you would really enjoy them for your initial layers. Pan pastels, the tooth holds them very well, and then your harder pastels over the top.
Now, does the pan pastel fill in the tooth?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why I went to the inks and such.
You can brush them though, like a
Okay.
paintbrush, and I'll show you some of my
Yes,
work
I'm
later
gonna have to
with
try.
pastels, and it was game changer for me. Also, Claire Fontaine pastel matte, best pastel paper
I'm saying that.
and pen pastels. I'm telling you.
I might try that.
I couldn't get an idea for the scale from the slides. How big do you work?
I work anywhere from a 4x6 all the way up. My largest piece is, I think it's 48 inches by 24 inches. It's massive. It was the, I don't know, it was that Emerald Waves one, was the green waves, right towards the front. That one there, that is my largest piece that I have today. It's like a pastel.
That's pastel.
It's big. But they're fun. It's fun to challenge. When you work in different sizes, working small, it's nice. You get that more of a concept out. You get the idea out. Whereas when you go larger, you've got to remind yourself, what was that initial concept? What was that initial feeling and brush marks I had? Because sometimes you can get too trapped into all the small details and you lose that initial spark that was from the painting.
So for either the pastels or the oil paintings for your underpainting, are you using a dominant color that you know will be in the finished piece, or using a complementary color?
I use both. Because with this one, I mainly use the dominant colors. I will actually start in here, and I just did a green wash. I had a darker blue wash in the background, and sometimes that's just more of a local color, and it's nice just to get a solid base down. That way you can judge your values better. Sometimes I will use a complementary color. That way when I do start layering, I can let that complementary color show through some of the broken brush marks, and it can dull a color or it can make something stand out even further. It just depends on how much of that underground you cover. Yes.
And then with your paintbrushes, do you use like hog hair bristles, or what kind of brand do you use?
I like Winsor and Newton. That's just been my favorite. It's been my go-to for a while. I'll use, they've got their hog hair bristle brushes, which are really nice. They've also got synthetic hog hair. It's a lot smoother than your natural hog hair. And then some of my other favorites are their Monarch series, which is synthetic mongoose bristles. It's, when I want more texture, I go for the natural hog hair. If you're looking for a smoother touch, you can either go with synthetic bristles or the Monarch series that I like.
Awesome. Any other questions? Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Thank you.
Okay, get you set up here.
Now set me
All right. I got you, girl. Why is it all pixelated? Okay, it's better now.
Cool.
You're good.
All right. Hello. I'm Maeve Eichelberger. Visual artist, sculptor, started as a collage artist. But I work in a very interesting material, plexiglass, acrylic. Yeah. it's kind of funny. I'm like, which way should I look? I guess I'll look here. So I grew up in Colorado, Denver, and then into Larkspur. When I was about 7 years old, my parents got some land and built a little ranch. And so a lot of my work now is influenced from that latter part of my life, living on the ranch. There's me as a little one. Yeah, so anyways, kind of the plan I just wanted to go through is just a little bit of background, some of my inspirations, influences, if we have time, but I might just skip around. And then process, and then whatever you guys have questions for, because it's kind of an interesting process. Well, I'll skip that. But I got my BFA in at Regis University in Denver. I kind of jumped around. I was in Philadelphia at Moore College of Art and Design for a little while, then went back to Regis, then went to Ireland for a year because I wanted to study abroad, and then came back and graduated from Regis. And then I did what Amanda did as well, which was going to get my MFA right away because I didn't know what else I was going to do. Honestly, I was like, well, I'm on this trajectory and I might as well just keep up with that momentum. So I went to Miami, Florida for that. And when I was there, I hope I have some good, there I am in Miami. When I was there, I really, in your master's, they just push you a lot to like figure out your why. Why do you do this? What do you do? Like, what are your influences? That type of thing. And I had this great apartment that looked over the ocean, like right on Ocean Ave, right? And I was like, I guess it's the sky, you know, because this is all I see. I saw ocean, sky. But then when I lived in Larkspur, it was the same thing. It was the sky. So I ended up photographing constantly, and then chopping them up into like squares, and then designing my own new environments based on those images. So David Hockney, Robert Rauschenberg, all huge influences for me. Just because it gave you different perspective. It was a way to involve different media into those pieces. But I started as a painter. So it was always my photography, and then adding acrylic paint. And then, well, who else is in here? Oh yeah. So because of that choppiness of my work, the Cubist constructivists were also a big influence for me. I liked the idea that you could look at something. I can see all of you right here, but then I can, my eye photographically sees things in different ways all at the same time. That simultaneousness was amazing to me. So I started just studying a lot of the Cubist constructivists, and collage was huge. So I still consider myself a collage artist, even though I'm not pasting and attaching things like that anymore. Barbara Van Cleve is one of my favorite photographers. I've she's just been an influence from probably about 11 years now at the Coors Western Art Show, but just because of the West and her perspective of the West, and as a woman artist, she's been an amazing influence for me. But I have to give her respect because she's like in her 90s now, and she's like still ranching and still teaches workshops of photography with her iPhone. I mean, she's the coolest person. So I have to give props to that for sure. So in my bachelor's, I'm trying to go quickly. In my bachelor's, this is the work I was doing. So I'm like chopping up images, taking all my own photographs, and then adding acrylic paint to them. And then in my graduate, which actually that lower, oh, you can't go backwards. No. Oh.
That's weird.
Oh, I guess we're just gonna keep moving forwards as life does. Anyways, one of those bottom photos was also for my graduate program. They're like, okay, cool. So you have an idea of like how you're going to break up an image. Now what? Now what? Now what? And I was like, oh my God, like leave me alone. But I ended up realizing like I can't just keep painting. I'm getting really, really bored with this. I want more dimension out of my collages. So I started, you can kind of see, I'll just but these are all just different layers of plexiglass that I just hand cut and made my own little Cubist compositions with.
Now with.
Oh, we've got a ghost in here. There, that's the one on the bottom. I did that in the graduate program. But anyways, these are different pieces of acrylic that I kind of made my own composition out of acrylic, and then I would cut out and paste my images. So this is my combination of my trip from China. So everything has always been my own imagery. Oh, it's a little delayed. I just tried it again. It's like, calm your energy down, Maeve, and then work.
If you want to, you can hit the escape. See if it'll like minimize the full screen,
Gotcha.
and then you can scroll down.
Oh,
Use the mouse to scroll down. See if that'll help.
Nope.
No.
That's okay. Oh, see, here we go. So I guess we can just start from here. I'm a little afraid if I keep going backwards that it'll just delay, but
Take your time.
oh, here we go. Good, perfect. So again, in the master's program, they're like, okay, I don't like your hardware. What are you gonna do when when the glue starts to be affected by time, like the acid from, things just change over time. What are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. So thankfully at that time, early 2000s, I'm like, I guess this was later, but you could start printing on any type of material. So I found a company in Denver who could print on acrylic. And so I just basically gave them a routing file, a digital file, and had them print on a big, large piece of acrylic, and then cut it out and then started collaging again. So some of them were random. I loved the images I wanted to have. Like I wanted that bull, and I wanted the cowboy praying, and I wanted the windmill. I had all those things there, but I didn't know what it would look like until I had everything cut out. So everything would be wrapped up, and I'd come back to the studio, unwrap everything, all the images that I wanted, and I'd start to collage. It just was a different material to work with. I guess we're going right into bending. And then one day I left some acrylic in the sun and it started to warp, and I was like, I can do anything. Like I can actually bend this material and I can still print my photographs on it, so I can get texture, I can get color, I can still use my narratives. So then I just started like going through my dad's tack room, and I was like, I could do chaps, I could do tack, I could do saddles, and it just hasn't stopped. So yeah, and now like in the last couple of years, I started working in fluorescent acrylic, which is, I'm not going to get into too many specifics about acrylic, but there's different methods of how they create this plastic. So the fluorescent is a cast acrylic. So the fluorescent color is just cast into it naturally. So it's as is. So I just buy like loads of, hot pink acrylic, and then I print on it and do the other things after that. So yeah, for scale reference, this stands about tabletop height, so it's about 26 inches. But I also do create full-size saddles, which you'll see at the museum as well. But yeah, I've been having so much fun with this. This was like a show in New York last year, and I was like, heck, I can do whatever I want. Things that mean something to me are fun and wild. So I did creamsicles, I did jasmine flowers, because I remember the flowers outside my bedroom window as a kid, no restrictions. Is that fuzzy? Kind of. Yeah. This is a big saddle I did for a hotel in Denver recently, and I guess in the last 2 years. But those tapaderos, which are the lower part below the stirrup, they protect your feet when you're riding, but these would be like more of a parade saddle. They're 23 inches just themselves. So that saddle is about 56 in height. So it's like a big one. I wish it was clear, but oh well. Oh no, we're frozen.
Right.
Good. Just while we're like here, do you have any questions? And I can just like wait till it catches up.
Behind the 8 ball here.
Yeah.
When we were looking at the bright saddles.
Yeah.
Did you form
Yeah.
warm plastic?
Yeah, actually perfect timing. We're getting into process. Yeah, so I do. So I have a routing file, which means what I'm just cutting out, how I'm cutting it out. And then I have a digital file. And then when all of that comes back to me in just these flat shapes, then I use heat. I use heat guns and I heat and bend that way.
So you you look at a saddle and you make a sketch on a paper and then you put that into plastic.
Yeah, basically.
And then you form it.
And then I form it. Yeah. So if you look up here, there's kind of a, just a little bit of a rendering of a layout of the pattern of a saddle that I would use. And I manipulate that depending on what I'm wanting to create, styles, that type of thing. But yeah, so when I first did a saddle, I just took some paper and just wrapped it over this saddle in my dad's shop, right? And I was like, okay, this is kind of the idea I want. I mean, it was going to be an abstraction regardless of what I was going to do. And yeah, so I just wrap it over and I was like, okay, cool, shape, have it cut out, and then you bend it and you're like, that didn't work. Next, so you just start, really everything I've done has been trial and error. Because my brain works 3-dimensionally. So I see it before it's done and then I backtrack.
Oh, wow.
So that's my end result in my head, is like, how can I make what I want to be flat and then see it that way?
And then along
Yeah.
the same lines for technique, on the first graduate work you showed
Yeah.
a picture of a Chinese temple in the top.
Yeah.
And there's sort of 3 cut blue, turquoise, and green.
Yeah.
Did you use photographs for that temple? Or
Yeah, all my own photographs, and then printed them out just like regular printer, and then just cut them with an X-Acto knife.
okay. But then so I was wondering if that whole thing is a puzzle of pieces of acrylics.
Yes.
That you adhere these
Yes.
things to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So cut out the acrylic just as shapes, just because I liked the shapes and I wanted to see what they would look like as their own composition. Clear shapes and composition.
Dimension.
Totally. Yeah. And so I was using screws and I was able to adjust the distance between them. Now I have a little less leeway of that distance, but it's usually about 1 inch, which is great because that gives you a really good. Oh, thank you. My grandmother has it. She will never give it away. Yes.
How thick are the sheets and how do you cut them?
1/8 inch. I work an 1/8 inch. The pedestals I use are thicker because they're holding, the sculpture at the end. I use a company who has a big CNC and a laser router. So I don't do any of the cutting myself anymore because those curves are just too perfect by another, machine. Yeah.
Did you sew your own clothes when you were growing up?
So funny. Wait for this. No, I didn't. I'm just excited because I'm actually getting into making shirts and things now. Go ahead.
I'm gonna make a suggestion.
Yes.
I used aluminum foil to drape over things.
Oh, that's a great idea.
It took the shape.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I could cut with scissors around it. Then I could take it off and flatten it.
And then flatten out. Thank you. I love that. Okay. I just feel like sometimes I go through so much material, right? And we all do, I think, as artists, when you're like, holy cow, like those waves, 48 inches of pastel, like you must have burned through your, pastels. Anyway, I do think about that. And I'm thinking about, what are other materials, paper, whether it's tracing paper, which is just a little bit lighter and you have a little bit more ability, but foil's a great idea too. Thank you. Well, I don't want to talk about this part just because we're getting into the bending. So I started making shirts recently. This is fortune cookies. You probably can't tell from the images, so they're so tiny. I was collecting fortune cookies for about 10 years. And so I photographed all of the fortunes and then I just put them on a shirt and made my own designs out of it. Again, backtracking to pattern making and like reinventing, you know, because I'll use patterns, actual clothing patterns, and then kind of like, this doesn't work because I need more gap here. I need more material this way for it to wrap on a cuff. Yeah, it's been trial and error for sure. Yeah, but I've done horses as well, you know, deconstructing and then reconstructing. I love it. And etching. I don't think I've talked about etching yet. Yeah, so the drawing and etching has been a big part of, you'll see the saddle at the Mitchell is all hand etched. I use a Dremel and I hand etch all of my drawings. So influenced early by my grandmother who sewed clothes, was also a huge gardener. And I think that influences a lot of my botanical pieces that you see. Also just, you know, with the saddles and the drawing, I could actually explore into more of the tooling, like leather tooling and the historic leather tooling. And then of course, adding my own kind of perspective as well. But yeah. Please ask questions. Well, I mean, we might as well while we're in it.
Do you etch before or after you beg?
Before, yeah. I mean, when you have those curves, it's just so hard to keep everything straight. So it's all done flat. So cut out and then flat and drawing. Yeah.
At what point in your whole like bending acrylic process, when did you find out that you wanted to do etching?
That's a good question. I think I'd always been drawing since I was a little girl. And I just, for the longest time when I was painting with a palette knife, and I was never really becoming intricate. And I was like, gosh, like I kind of miss drawing. And I loved drawing florals because when I was in my grandmother's garden, that's all I did. And she would teach me over and over. So I think I was just out of missing it is what I wanted to do. Yeah. Yeah.
How does it take for you to just Dremel like
A long time. So the saddle you'll see at the museum, that was probably 48 hours, non-consecutive, because I lose my mind. And also you just get tired, like just this motion, repetitive motion and all that. I wear ear protection and a mask. I also use a respirator when I'm heating. And a ventilated room. Just so you know, I am trying to be better about protecting my health. Wasn't always like that. Yes, Andrew.
So your floral motifs and your patterning, are you drawing that directly onto the acrylic before you Dremel it? Or
No.
are you transferring it? Or
It's a great question. No, I'm just, if you can see this picture here, I draw everything on tracing paper first to the shape, you know, and then I lay the acrylic on top of the drawing, and then I have like, because it's clear, but I will, like, sometimes I've etched on top of like a printed like pattern, and if I'm printing leather, like an image of leather, excuse me, it's really hard to see, and then I'm like, oh great, okay, we'll just go for it. But I'll usually use like markers or something to enhance the line. But yes, good question. Yes.
What is that saddle all about? What are you saying?
This saddle actually does have a really interesting narrative. This is the yucca and the moth, and it was basically just the relationship, the symbiotic relationship of the moth needing to feed off of the yucca flower, but the yucca flower also needing that pollinator. And so my best friend, my dog, passed away, and I just did this whole kind of narrative on that relationship of that. So this one is like fully loaded.
And why saddles?
Another good question. Initially it was because I wanted to try it out and see what I could do. Now saddles have just become a canvas for the idea of communication, transportation, what they've been used for, how we've connected to multiple communities and destinations. So now I just have this beautiful 3-dimensional canvas to work in. Yeah. So just wanted to give you a little idea of how I, get inspired by, florals, and then printing the florals, and then the final product. Indian paintbrush. My grandmother's favorite rose, the Tropicana, and I did this saddle, and I actually handmade the rosettes out of little tiny pieces of acrylic. Yeah, I haven't done that again. Brutal process. I love old cars, and I love trucks, and so I did it. I've done a whole bunch of series, I guess. I don't know how many pieces, but they're all sold, of either tailgates or sideboards, and I've built a half of a saddle to hang on the truck, which is really fun. Yeah. Oh yeah, I do commissions all the time, actually. I had this couple, they were like, we have these huge walls, and you're like, yes, okay, let's go. And they're like herons. So I did these big herons, and they're like, I don't even know if you can really tell from here, but multiple layers. So I just, of course, deconstructed the heron shapes, legs, wings, that type of thing, and then created a new composition, and then also did an aloe plant. Oh, just like some pieces in space, just so you can kind of see them in people's homes or how they've used them. Just fun. New projects. So this is where I'm getting excited, because I am getting into more of the clothing aspect. The shops that I do have been really fun. I started adding like different mixed media pieces. So I added some like upholstery fringe. Why not? I love the shops. They're fun. And also started like bending tiny pieces of acrylic to make my own fringe, which is cool. But the clothing has been really great. I guess my idea with the clothing, and not because I don't want to work in saddles anymore, but I want my work to be a little bit more universal and inclusive. So people who've never ridden a horse or really understand what a saddle is, I still have my same concept of like including everyone in imagery, in that narrative. But also, clothing, we all wear clothes, and we can use that as, our identity to express, to hide, to disguise. And so I really am excited about exploring what that means and what that's going to look like, with more concepts. So, yeah, and etching. These last ones are in, they're my most recent, and they're in Cody, Wyoming at the Buffalo Bill Art Center. They're super fun. This is a big pink saddle with Lucky Charms on it. Printed with Lucky Charms. This one looks different because so those Lucky Charms look like you could just peel them off. I used white ink, and I never use white ink, but I wanted the opacity and the vibrancy to stay in the print, if that makes any sense. The other ones, for example, like you can see everything's transparent, and I love the idea of transparency because you can move through the layers. But the white ink is nice because it also just gives you that opacity. Green glass acrylic. Yeah. Oh, this is it. This is the Pancho Villa that you will see. It was brutal. There's like so many little straps and different things. And what I realized kind of after the fact, because I'm only working in imagery or off of an image, is this saddle, like it's based off of a tree. I don't know, you don't really need to know all the details of like how a saddle is made, but it's just a tree. So it's like a very simple saddle. And I added too much material probably, but it was really fun to dive into that and really look at shapes in a different way. Yeah, there we go. That's what's upcoming. Resonance, Coors Western Art in January, La Luz de Taos in June. Oh, and the Cowgirl Up, I forgot to mention that. Cowgirl Up in Wickensburg, Arizona. Yeah, there I am. If you ever want to stay in touch, would love to. If you have any other questions, I'd love to answer them as well. Yes.
I'm a little interested in the use of plastic.
Yeah.
Because I start thinking about oil,
Totally.
petroleum.
Mm-hmm.
So do you find yourself taken out of one world and put into our problematic world?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is a constant conflict in my head. Absolutely. I've thought about it, and I do think about it. And a lot of my patrons are in the oil business. So, so, it is interesting. The art world is a funny place. It's
Magnificent ironies.
absolutely, absolutely, because many ways I am very much an environmentalist. Absolutely. And I am in conflict with the material that I use because it's toxic. It's a whole bunch of other things. Like what happens to it after it goes away? Nothing, So it is pretty. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
And it won't end up in landfills.
Well, we hope not. You hope not. But I do appreciate the question because it is important. Yeah. Oh, no.
Would you like to?
Yeah,
go up there,
let's do
and
it.
then we'll take more questions.
Do you want to escape to a different
Yeah.
escape?
Escape. I'm done. I'll let you go. You guys can sit down.
On either side.
Either side, you're gonna go around me.
Also, you guys are so fun. Like Amanda's shoes and my watch band match. We did not plan that. I was really excited.
And your earrings and your shirt.
Full sisters.
Yeah.
Any other questions for yeah, go for it.
Okay, so as an artist and as a student parent, I've heard a lot of students have a hard time with looking at images or trying to figure out shapes in 3D scales. How did you build up that skill over time? Because I know it doesn't happen naturally, but what helped you with exercise and all of that?
Yeah, I think it was it's a good question. Just trial, taking a material like either foil, right, or just a 2D substance of paper, and just playing with it and really trying to understand how, another way would be making a box, or any products that you're buying, take that box apart and really understand how those things fit together, right? To see, this is what it looks like this way, but if I unwrap it, oh, I never thought about that curve. And then you can really understand, oh, I see how that moves into this piece or that piece. But, boxes can be a really fun way to explore just what 3D is, Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm wondering does it feel different now to ride in the saddle now that you've been shaping them?
Definitely. I do think about it sometimes. I'm like, oh, well, mine will be terribly uncomfortable. Yeah, kind of. I do think about, the big one I just made. I'm like, wow, this is so heavy and so much material. And I also just, more than anything, I think I just appreciate the craft in leather. Now I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Because it's something I've never done in leather, which I just want to start to do.
Anyone else? I'm gonna ask them some questions, so if you guys wanna jump in, please do so. So, we'll start with this one. So Amanda, we'll start with you. Do you feel like your work is more about asking questions or giving answers?
Probably giving answers, because it's just my viewpoint on subject matter, and I just want to share with other people. I just want to share what I saw and the beauty that I saw in this matter with other people.
Yeah, and that makes sense because you're really trying to capture this moment of nature that's so fleeting, right? And then giving it to other people. Do you work plein air, by the way?
I'm getting back into it.
Oh, it's not pastels outside. Ooh.
Yeah, it's not easy to pastels outside. That's how actually when I went to art school, we had a landscape painting class, and we worked in plein air, and there's no better way to understand light than studying it directly.
Yes,
it's amazing.
Awesome, thank you. Do you want to take that question too?
Asking.
Asking,
I think
okay.
it's asking.
Yeah.
Yep. I think my work is all about asking. I love the idea of illusion. And I want people to look at that pieces and be like, what is that made of? What is going on here? Is this glass? Is this not? So I love that idea of like engaging with all of you about the work. So,
Yeah, and there's something almost like magic about your work, right? Because there is a mystery and it's still based off of curiosity, which I think was what the response for your question was. Because we want to see something new, right? And then it's all questions from there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's see. Ooh. This is an interesting one. Okay. Your childhood artistic self. What did that child want you to make as an adult? And how do you think that they would respond to what you make? Whoa. I know, right? You want to go or do you want to
Go first. If you're ready. I can really see myself because I still want to do it. It was comic books. I watched the animation and TV shows, and that was like, I love the stories. I want to make my own stories, and I want to share that with other people. So my younger self would probably be like, "Oh, you draw like this now? Okay, like let's go back to comic books." So,
have you thought about attempting to like meld those two things together?
yes, I've got ideas
Yeah.
and such. It's more of I still like storytelling. That's always been in my roots. I love storytelling. And I want to get back to more of it's doing like book covers, whether I'm working with somebody else and helping them bring their images to life. And it's still this very much storytelling. Like I go back to more of the early 1900s American illustrators, J.C. Leyendecker, of course. I look at N.C. Wyatt. You got Frank Frazetta. I just think they're wonderful illustrators and how they were able to just be able to convey something, but then it has so much is said in an image, and I love that.
Yeah, 1,000 words. Yeah, please.
Well, just like you had said that you like to have your oil and your pastels as something, if you get sick with one, you can use the other. You can also do that with your comic book stuff. And, obviously comic stuff is not even remotely close to your style. So you could do it a whole different way. And I had an artist a long time ago tell me, because I was doing, well, I still kind of do dabble in other random stuff, but a bronze artist who I know does several other art projects, and he just has them in different, like he has Big Rock Bronze and then Chip Jones Fine Art. And so he's like, they're different, but he's the same person, but he just pushes them in a different way. And so he's like, because you want to have your consistent works, that you're showing at a museum or at a show or whatever, and then your other stuff that's seen somewhere else. So you could totally have your other persona in the comic book world when you get sick of other stuff. And if you wanted to, just
I thought about this and everything. It's like a lot of people tend to gravitate towards artists are like one specific style, and people don't understand that we like to dabble in different stuff. We gravitate towards this is interesting right now. Let me explore. Let me dive into it. Let me become a mini expert in this area for a little bit and see what I can make out of it. But at the same time, you're not giving up your other passions that you like. And I don't think people fully understand what it's like to be a creative where you're interested in a lot of things. And that's perfectly okay because they all influence each other. You're not limited to one thing.
Thank you. Yeah, let's be honest. Okay, so what is your child?
Oh no, I have a.
You want to go on?
No, I just don't know what to say because I wasn't. don't know.
I mean, I think you were also talking about your influences from your childhood, your grandma,
Yeah,
the garden,
yeah.
and then, of course, living on the land, right?
Totally, living on the land, and then I think the other part was my dad's a sculptor and an architect, and my mom is in interior and fashion. So there you go.
There you go.
So it makes a lot of sense when you think about what I was around and surrounded by. I don't know what if I ever really thought about my adult self, except maybe just having gone to so many art openings with my family and like having our artist friends around and just being like, I just want to be like that. I want to wear whatever I want to wear and like be fun and funky and I want to have my work on a white wall. That would be so cool. I think so. That aesthetic and an idea just
Awesome. Good. And here you are.
yeah.
Next one,
And then for your clothing series,
yeah,
I like that you kind of did the more of a lived in style than like the kind of just fashion wear on a hanger style.
Right.
So did you make that one more like a conscious effort of? So I noticed like each one was bent differently. The sleeves were different positions, different buttons were opened up.
Yeah. Yeah, and the new stuff I'm doing now is even cooler because it's just like thinking about clothing as our laundry. So if you walk into your bedroom right now, like, where are your clothes? Like, are they just thrown or tossed over a chair? Are they like on the floor? Are they on a hook? Like a shirt on a hook looks so much different than on a hanger. And you can still get those folds and the different things, that abstraction. I'm also going to do my dad's jeans. So he has this pair of jeans that becomes like a uniform, and they're just like stuck in their position, not because they're dirty, but they're just so worn. But I'm going to do those too, because that's part of him, and I think it's really awesome to think of that structure.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, I think it's a like great part of storytelling of a lived-in shirt, and it has the history behind it, not just
yes,
and not there's nothing wrong with it, obviously, but not just a shirt on a hanger.
Right. No, I totally agree, and I think I just want to find those layers and movement in a material that does not want to move like that at all. So there's that other push.
Yeah. Okay.
These were tough questions.
I know.
Questions. I was like,
I had fun making them.
No,
So
great.
I was like, okay, good.
I'm like, oh, no.
We'll see if you guys like this one. Okay. Because I could see this for both of you. So if you could display your art in one place, so like the setting was specific, what would that place be? So I gave you guys like a cave, a library. Is it a museum? Is it in your personal space? What would where would you like it to show? Of course, like the
I don't know, it's too crowded now.
oh my goodness. Makes sense.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Just think about
It's
it for a
strange
second.
because it's like,
Because I feel like we see our artwork and we're like, that's not what it's supposed to be, right? It's like dead, or it's too sterilized, or it's too chaotic, it's not breathing enough. Or maybe like, what's your guys' favorite place that your art has been displayed?
You better say the AR Mitchell.
Yes,
right.
That hotel, that was a really cool display for my work. The hotel, the saddle in the hotel lobby.
Yes.
Was really cool because it had enough space around it, so you could really explore and move in and out of it. I love that.
It was also very tall.
Yes.
But it didn't interrupt the space around it.
No.
So it worked with the space.
Yeah.
Very like
And it
breathe.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it wasn't a white wall. It
No.
didn't have to be. In fact, in certain angles of looking at those clear saddles especially, what's nice about the AR Mitchell, sorry, the wood floors give it a nice contrast, so it pops, you can really see the etching. But that saddle, for example, is in that hotel, and there's like all these windows behind, so some angles, it totally disappears. And you're like, whoa, that's cool. So I do love that idea. But what about a garden? What about a saddle in the garden? That would be cool. There's my answer.
Yeah, your turn.
I like the idea of it being in a public space so other people can see it. But I still want this intimacy that you feel like you can be alone and just admire it. And so it's a toss up between like libraries or churches. Those are my things. So
Nice. Like quiet
Yes.
spaces.
Yeah.
You can just like be in it. Good. Okay, any last questions?
The question I have for you, Amanda, is that how do you draw or make clouds? Because I feel like a lot of artists have that struggle, and I feel like you execute it really, really well. And I'm really curious about it.
It's a lot of it. I just start breaking it down to I paint what I see, not what I think I see. That was one thing that my landscape teacher taught me. So you look at an object and you think of abstract shapes. Is it this like white shape that curves around another shape that is more gray and duller? So it's like you do your collaging. I'll do that with my artwork, and I start looking at as abstract shapes and not the actual object itself. Then that's how you can start looking and seeing you're starting to look for shapes, you're starting to look for values. Then you're also looking for specific color contrast, whether that's the vibrancy or it's a hue change in that color. And you start layering them next to each other. And it's a lot of practice. It's a lot of trial and error. Don't be scared of failing first time around. I could not tell you how many times I messed up on some clouds. And I'm like, what in the world was I thinking? But it's just seeing like what's in front of you. Don't think of that object as an object, because when we think of people, we're automatically thinking eyes, nose, mouth. Don't think of that. Think of what shape. Is this just a round shape on a dark object? And then you start breaking it down into smaller and smaller shapes. And that's how you get more of a realistic look and how you get to represent that object the way it is. Because all art really is, like on a flat piece, is an illusion. It's not the object itself. You're just trying to represent that object.
Yeah.
Follow up to that. Do you ever turn your piece upside down to
I look in a mirror.
Oh, right there. Yeah.
I'll look behind in a mirror.
And you as well. A mirror or turning upside down will help you to not. You're seeing what is there instead of seeing what you think you're seeing.
Yeah, because that's what Eileen taught us in our.
Oh, yes.
Oh, thank you guys so much. This is awesome. Such a delight. Thank you both for being here. Thank you. So we have an amazing show here in the museum. Both of these wonderful artists are going to be there. Again, tomorrow, 5 to 8. Come. There's always amazing food, great people. We have lots of the artists who are going to be there. Sarah Boston right here. She is the wonderful curator for that show. Sarah, would you like to share anything else about that show?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
Well, also, Keel Fine Art has Johanna Muller and Talia Parsnell. It's their tandem show. And then, Resonance is Aaron Mitchell's photography. His reference photos paired with, started as 50 artists. A lot of them dropped off. So now we have, I think, 43 artists with, I believe, like 46 pieces. And the artists were paired with, or they got to choose a photo and then create a piece of work in their own style. And yeah, a lot of them will be there to visit with. You can ask them questions. A lot of incredible works. A lot of heavy hitters in the Western art world will or have work there. And I think Western Art Collector and Southwest Art Magazine will be there. They'll be taking photographs. It'll be in the next issue, their next issues. So you could be famous in a magazine if you want to show up. Get some of Allison's great food and drinks.
Thank you so much. And Rich, do you have?
At the Corazon Gallery, they have the imaginary show, right?
Yeah, it's called the Realm of the Imagination.
That's it.
And we've got about 50 different entries from around the region, from southern Colorado, northern New Mexico. And there'll be a People's Choice Award, so we encourage people to go and vote for your favorite. There will also be a demo of chainmail making. So Nessa, one of our members, makes jewelry and other things using chainmail rings. So she'll be showing that as well.
And across the hall at the Marketplace Gallery, Wayne Pritchard is having an opening. He's our guest artist. And also in the gallery row, the area between the galleries is part of the Creative Crawl show is opening tomorrow night. So there are 4 different venues, 41 works of art. You get a vote, $1,000 prize on the line.
Lots of voting tomorrow night.
Yeah, and lots of stuff. Plus, we have live music too at the gallery row.
Wonderful. And I also believe the Trinidad State English Department is going to be hosting open mic at the at Mutiny. Yep. So come and bring an instrument, bring a song, bring in poetry, whatever you'd like to, or just come and get some coffee and watch some really talented people share their stuff. Does anyone else have anything else going on? It's gonna be a busy day tomorrow. And then sleeping. Again, thank you all for coming. We will have another one of these next month, the day before First Friday. And if I missed you on emails, please go to here. Make sure you get that information in there and just capture that data if you missed that. Thank you guys so much. I will see you all tomorrow.
Yeah. I love your question. Oh. I know. But they're really good. They're actually gonna get up. You always have a.
Yes. That's very
Like she's able to shake,
Hey, Sarah.
Oh, you didn't?
I'm so excited.
Okay, well,
Yes. So I had a picture.
yeah, there's
Yeah, I think we met.
Andrew, do you know where we're going?
Oh,
Don't leave.
I will find that. Give me 1 second.
Please don't leave. I have no idea where we're going. Yeah.
Hi, did you get my email about the 6th graders?
I don't believe so.
Thank you. Pretty good. Whoa. No, but it's all I started. I don't
Everything we worked pretty close together.
I had more contact I realized afterwards, I was like, no, more contrast, darker, and then I didn't say like, I think she's okay.
Oh my gosh, please. Yeah, thank you. I was like, I was looking at you.
Well, that's how you just like that. It's very
And really pleased for both of your involvement in the show.
watercolor pencils, and it feels like very fresh. Like it's like
The concept in general,
That's
just
kind of
having,
I was hoping,
you know,
Don't overly
feeling, giving us freedom to interpret.
boundaries a little bit.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
No, I love that, especially with the watercolor. And like seeing.
It's like a good illustration.
Yeah.
I like giving
I think
people
it feels like almost
like images and then you start combining your stuff. You don't
We'll see when I see it again.
Right, it's good.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just a
man.
reference, and then you have to take it off.
Yeah,
Or-
thanks.
or-
I was like,
Yeah.
there's more, but I was like.
And I
"See,
see you.
yeah,
I totally forgot that
you
you
have
were
to start a
that.
piece of art and why, or like.
Okay, we'll see you
story. And I was
I
like,
know.
yeah, maybe.
Is it, everything's so close here. It's like 5 minutes, or 3 minutes.
Just
Really.
grab stop by sometime tomorrow in the morning to talk more about that, or is it just a quick email?
It was a quick email. I was, mostly I was asking, sorry I didn't go through, I've been insane today, so I'll be. First question was, do you know the head count or estimates?
About 30.
30 split?
Yeah, 15 and 15.
15 and 15,
So 30
okay.
total.
Could, I was trying to figure out what to do with them. Can we do air dry clay instead of live? Would that be cool? Okay. Transportation might be an issue, but we'll like box it up. It'll be fine.
I'm here to work with you.
Okay.
The art professor.
Love it, okay.
Whatever you want to do with them, I am happy for that.
Okay.
I'm not trying to,
Sure.
you know, I have my artistic tendencies, but I have no idea how to transfer that into things for students. So whatever you want to do.
Oh, I'm like, okay, I'll just see you out right up there.
So I think that
I just
the
wanted to make
second
sure I
question
had
I had
the
is,
Do you know
can
where
you
you're
buy
going?
some
Yeah.
air dry?
I'll follow you. Okay.
Can I know,
Like an apartment.
It's literally.
I know
like 3
Donna
minutes.
has a lot of air dry clay in the
That
maker
would be
space.
great.
Where I can work with her to get a little, because she bought it a lot for Cliffs, because Cliffs was having students make cells with air dry clay.
Oh, that's super cool. Yeah.
And then he stopped doing that, so Agona just now has kind of like a good amount of air dry clay. I will talk with her tomorrow and see what she says.
And if it's not completely dry, you should like reconstitute it. So let's look if we can.
Yeah, she has a bunch of
I
like
just love sharing.
unopened Crayola
that.
air dry clay cups.
I was gonna suggest like the 10 pound, we're not gonna go through 10
so
pounds,
go to
so
your
if you get the
airdrop?
small ones, they're so much more expensive.
Mhm.
Or go to Jim.
Okay, cool, so let's go with that, if that doesn't work out, we'll figure out something
Yeah,
else.
yeah, I'll-
Kids love that. I would literally just be like, here, and then they'll just be fine, so I'm like, okay, let's just,
Yeah.
why do anything like
Again,
that?
it's all, that's why I'm like, it's super easy, don't stress out too much
Oh,
about
no,
it,
no.
whatever you can, like Cliff, all he does is pull up the projector and he's like, bugs. Bugs. So,
What's his specialty?
yeah,
Is
so,
it?
yeah, that's his
Yeah,
specialty.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's not? That's
So
why.
he asks
That's
me,
why.
what's the difference between a spider and an insect? And
Yeah.
then here's different parts, and here's this, and
I got
I want to
my
look at
first.
bugs, like what bugs do you want to look at?
Um,
That is literally all he does, like, and
And it's
like,
extra, they love it.
yeah, they love.
Or they're
they-
grossed out by
Yeah,
it.
they absolutely loved it.
Okay, good.
So again, whatever,
Okay.
I am so happy to work with you. Thank you.
Oh,
My biggest thing is just thank you for, you know, being willing to do this.
Of
'cause,
course.
you know, again, obviously with fifth and sixth graders, I can't give them a normal campus tour. No one wants a normal campus tour.
No one
Yeah.
Did? I think I saw that. I taught it
Like,
right.
it's not fun.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm sorry, my
yeah.
high schoolers, but we got a lot more stuff to go over than we do for
Mhm.
fifth and sixth graders. So I would love to make them more interactive, but at a certain point, it's like, you guys, we gotta see the important stuff.
Well, and the thing is,
Mine,
like, high
like-
schoolers should be thinking about the real questions,
Mhm.
right? So like, that makes sense. If
Yeah.
they're not sixth graders, it's just getting them on campus and being like, oh, this isn't a scary place.
Yeah.
I could see myself here, it's totally fun.
And we've
right?
had talked before, I just want them to know that art is an option.
Yes.
It's always an option. That's
Yes.
why I didn't have originally, but I got the fifth graders, I took them to the dinosaur by the
Yeah.
archaeology museum, and I was like, this is the intersection of art and welding.
Yes,
If you
I'll
want to
just
get a
text you
welding
mine.
degree, but also do art, like,
absolutely.
this is an option. You don't have to like
Well, I guess we'll
sit
just
down
see
and
over
draw.
there.
Or,
Yeah.
I heard it's like, you don't have to sit in a classroom all day. You can go
Or
to
you
college
can do like industrial welding, you know, as a job and
have art on the
transfer to
side.
art, and then maybe that takes over.
Mhm.
Who knows, right?
So again, that's
We'll see you over there?
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
I'm gonna shut
Thanks,
this all
Eileen.
down and then I will see you guys.
Oh, that's
Hey, do you have all the
Sounds good.
talks online yet?
I don't. We have the
I'm just gonna ask
files.
you every year.
Oh, thank you. That makes me feel that's so nice. We get the talks, the recordings to them, but no one has volunteered
Yeah.
to do the rest of the editing.
Gotcha.
I did the first like, I was like 6, 7, and then I was like, I think someone else needs to.
You're like, forget this.
I think I'm done now.
It's a lot of video.
Well, and it's so like, when I say like, no, and then it's like hours and hours later, so I wanna make it very professional, it's good.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Do you have any like students, video students? Or
yeah, the thing is like, my work studies, I have been doing so much other stuff.
Mhm. I don't blame you.
Well, it's also because teaching them video editing software, because some are nicer than others. Again.
Yes.
This is where I get to Adobe is user hateful because they are not user friendly.
It's
Oh,
hilarious.
see, I'm so used to Adobe, I'm like, when I go to something else, I'm like,
What
I
is
do?
happening? I tried to learn InDesign with no graphic design
Oh, no.
background, which
That's
meant
gnarly.
like 15 Google searches of just how to change a font color or how to change a text
Yeah.
color,
Yeah.
and then having to open like 10 different menus. And now I have that down pat. All the extra stuff in there, don't know. But
Yeah.
like Lightroom is like super user friendly.
Yeah.
Everything else, I'm like,
InDesign
why
is-
do I need to
Yeah.
click on? Why do I need to go to window, click on 10 different
Right.
things just to get the certain tool that
They
I
just,
need?
I don't think I've ever really changed. Like Photoshop is the only thing I know because I grew up with it.
Mhm.
That was the only one. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like that.
Lightroom's the only one I do.
However, I don't know if you guys have Apple. You guys seen the DaVinci video editor? What's this called?
DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah, Resolve.
No.
It's completely free.
Really?
And it is a full,
Yeah.
like a real video editing suite. It feels like, I don't know if you ever used like Final Cut Pro back in the day,
Yeah,
like it's
yeah.
that kind of format,
Like, way
but it's
better.
actually good.
Mhm.
It's very intuitive. You're like, what I want to do is make this shorter, and then you just make it
Just
shorter.
make
You're
it
like, oh,
work.
thank God.
Oh, that's
It's
great.
amazing.
So you're
Yeah.
like, what is it called? DaVinci?
DaVinci Resolve.
Yep.
And the like, they have a free version that is really good.
That's incredible.
And you
They're
can-
talking about
version is
maybe
always
getting rid of the free
Are
version.
they?
I know.
We'll
We'll
see